Well, it's that time again, everyone. Time for another legacy sequel to a decades-old movie that no one asked for. This time around, it's Twisters, the almost 30-year-old sequel to Twister, which I think is a great idea. After all, just look at all the franchises that have benefited from legacy sequels, like Independence Day, Halloween, Gladiator, Jurassic Park, Scream, Coming to America, Ghostbusters, Alien, Terminator, Indiana Jones, Star Trek.
Okay, I get it.
So, will Twisters be able to match the unquestionable quality of legacy sequels of the past? Or will it be more like this? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Do you like movies where people yell all the time? Well, then I've got a movie made just for you. Shut the door and head for the basement, folks, as we take a spoiler-free look at Twisters. So Twisters takes place in Oklahoma, a state famous for its chicken fried steak, rodeos, and the Spanish flu outbreak of 1918. And it's here that we meet Kate, who leads a group of young storm chasers, and who has come up with a theoretical way to stop tornadoes. However, the only way that she can test her theory in the field is to be directly in the path of a tornado, something that seems to be a common problem when testing tornado science.
You gotta get in front of the tornado and put it in the damage path, and then get out again before it picks you up too. It's a suck zone.
Unfortunately for her and her team, things go horribly wrong when the tornado they are testing gets way too big, and 3 members of her team, including her boyfriend, are killed. Wow, that sucks. I guess it's too bad they didn't have any of those old leather straps hanging around like in the first movie, huh?
It's a suck zone.
We then cut to 5 years later, and Kate gets an unexpected visit from her former teammate Javi, who definitely wants to date her, and who tells her that he's using military technology to map tornadoes so that they can build better warning systems.
If we knew how a tornado really worked, we could design an advanced warning system.
So, once again, it's back to Oklahoma, where we meet Javi's lame group of corporately sponsored storm chasers.
Went out and got himself some corporate sponsors.
This is where we are also introduced to the super cool, rock and roll, stick it to the man storm chasers called the Tornado Wranglers. What makes them cool? Well, they do all of the things that cool people do, like drive big trucks, use catchphrases,
If you feel it,
and do IRL live streams for YouTube.
What's my most traumatic experience? I don't know, but I know what yours is.
The team is also made up of possibly the most annoying characters that have ever been featured in a movie. There's Boone, who looks like he smells bad and says woo a lot. Lily, who looks like she smells bad and says woo a lot. As well as Danny and Dexter, who both look like they smell bad and say woo a lot. And of course, all of them are led by Tyler Owens, who is played by Glenn Powell, wears a cowboy hat, and says woo a lot. This is also the part of the movie where it becomes very clear that Javi is not going to be the love interest. After all, you're not going to have a guy who looks like this.
Oh my.
And he not get the girl. Now, you may be saying to yourself, wait a second, so the main character is part of the corporate storm chasers, and they're against the hippie storm chasers this time? Is this just Twister, but in reverse?
Yes, yes, and yes.
As all of our storm chaser teams get ready for the day, Kate, who apparently can speak to the winds or something, takes a moment to look at the sky and check out the weather. But it doesn't take long for her to be interrupted by Tyler, who is trying to see what she thinks the storm will do while doing his best Matthew McConaughey impression.
You didn't say which way we were going yet. It's high risk, high reward. Now, boring is not usually a problem for me, Kate.
All right.
Eventually, a tornado does touch down nearby, but Kate is unable to help because she's afraid to get too close, which causes her team to lose trust in her abilities. And honestly, I get it. It's not like seeing 3 of your friends get sucked into a massive tornado would have any long-lasting traumatic effects on a person. I mean, that happened to Superman's dad, and he turned out just fine. So, they try again the next day, and once again, Kate has to use her tornado whisper abilities to see where the tornado is headed.
Moisture levels are just right and lots of Kate.
But things go bad when they get too close to the tornado, which causes their experiment to fail yet again. A few moments later, both teams realize that a tornado is going to hit a small town, so they all decide to go help out survivors and clean up debris, proving once again that no matter how strong a tornado may be, it will never be strong enough to take down
America, fuck yeah!
Bored of helping people recover from tragedy, Kate and Tyler decide to go to a local rodeo, take a moment to bond over their love of tornadoes, and take one step closer to eventually doing it.
On again, off again, sexual tension.
But it doesn't take long for yet another tornado to come through and once again threaten everyone in the town. And as the movie continues, the tornadoes get bigger, and the need for figuring out a way to stop them grows larger. The movie we end up with is well made, stars two people that work well together, and has some exciting tornado sequences. However, the script of the movie is paper thin and terribly predictable. It suffers from annoying supporting characters that don't matter, and despite being a new story, in many ways is a poor retelling of the original movie. So first, I'll start with what I did like about the movie, and say that on the production side, the movie looks really good. The movie was shot on Kodak film, which I think was a really great choice. Using film really brings out the darkness of the stormy skies, as well as being able to capture the colors really well, and this becomes very apparent with the landscape shots that are used in the movie. Some of the most amazing natural scenery in the world is in the American West, and Oklahoma, where this movie was shot, is no exception to that. So, deciding to shoot on film was a really smart choice when capturing that natural beauty on screen. On the acting side of things, the two leads, Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones, are really good together. They have good chemistry, and when it's just the two of them, the movie is at its best. In fact, I think the movie would have been greatly improved if it were just the two of them working together the whole movie, rather than having a bunch of annoying side characters that are kind of pointless. Which leads me to my next point. This Tornado Wrangler team is just the worst. Every time they're on screen, it's just an insufferable chore to get through.
Who wants a t-shirt?
In fact, when they're first introduced, there's like a good 5 minutes where woo is literally the only thing that's being said by anyone on screen.
Hey, smile, man. Science is fun, right? What's up, bro?
It's so bad that if these people actually existed, you would just be screaming,
Will you shut up?
just so you could get a moment of silence.
Oh, it's a beautiful day. Beautiful day.
I was also surprised that despite all of this happening on screen, at how dull the movie was. And that boredom comes from the fact that the script is a cookie-cutter, paint-by-numbers, predictable bore. From the moment the movie starts, you can pretty much guess exactly how every scene is going to play out, ironically making this movie about unpredictable weather very predictable, which in turn means you spend most of your time thinking, "Get on with it!" rather than being invested in the characters and the story itself. And finally, while the movie is its own story, it's hard to not compare it to the original Twister, and that's because the entire story, the main points of it anyway, are exactly the same. A young girl has a traumatic experience with a tornado. She then takes up studying tornadoes, competes with a rival group of tornado chasers, has some near-death experiences, and sees her research pay off by sitting inside a tornado at the end of the movie. And while I hate to spoil it for you, that's essentially what Twister was. Now, is it better or worse than Twister? Well, I'm not sure. When you compare the two of them, it's a back and forth. The two lead characters are far better and have much more chemistry than Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, but on the other hand, Twister has a much better supporting cast. Twister also has a much better score, while Twister's just looks better. So, they kind of cancel each other out.
They'll choke each other out.
At the end of the day, would I recommend the movie? Well, not really. At least not at a full price anyway. A discounted matinee price might be worth it, but not much more than that. Now, I have heard some say that a 40x screen, which is where the seats move and water sprays in your face, is a better experience for the tornado parts. So, if that sounds like something you'd like, maybe that would make a better overall experience, but if I'm totally honest, I would just wait till it hits streaming. I just don't think there's enough good about the movie to justify spending the money at a theater, 40x or otherwise.